Good evening, children. Tonight we are going to be viewing the PowerPoint Westward Expansion. Americans began expanding into the far west in the 1830s and the 1840s before the Civil War. Many went from land in the Oregon Territory or were part of the California Gold Rush in 1849. After the Civil War, even larger numbers of settlers flooded into the vast western area called the Great Plains. The Great Plains had been considered a little more than a dry, treeless wasteland that viewed change, however, thanks to the inventions like the steel plow, water-pumping windmills, farms, cattle, and ranches, and new railroad lines were soon spreading across the Great Plains from Texas to Montana. The map above shows the area that we consider the Great Plains. They incorporate most, if not all, of these states of Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and New Mexico. Physical features of the Great Plains. Look carefully at the photos of the Great Plains. You can see that it is a vast flatlands that spread for thousands of miles, and very dry soil, low rainfall. They don't receive much rain during the normal year, and due to the low rainfall, they had frequent dust storms. Why did Americans travel to unknown territories? Americans spread into the West in large numbers after the Civil War ended. Opportunities for land, technological advances such as the Transcontinental Railroad, the steel plow, windmills were also a reason many decided to move west. View the following slides and see if you can fill in C, D, and E. Also, remember your jump start. I think that would give you some clues of why people were moving west, especially after the Civil War. The perception of the Great Plains changed as the Civil War, as we said earlier. Once seen as a treeless wasteland, but increasingly seen as a good place to farm due to advances in new inventions and adaptations. There was the steel plow, sod houses, barbed wire, windmills, dry farming techniques, wheat farming, beef, cattle raising, and the railroads all made it more feasible to travel and settle in the Great Plains area. How do we get people or inform people about all this cheap land and free land that's in the western part of the United States? Advertisements. Especially railroads use advertisements in order to encourage Americans to settle in the Great Plains. They showed how convenient the railroad was to where they were settling, and they could use the railroad to travel east and west and to ship their goods. That was a selling point for a lot of Americans who were traveling to the Great Plains or the Western Territories. Technological advances were another one. Faster and easier transportation, the gold rush, people mining wanted to become rich. There was gold and silver in abundance in the Great Plains and also as far west as California. Nevada and the Dakotas were very rich in the silver and gold area, in their mines, in their mountains. The Homestead Act offered free land. That was very popular. A lot of people took advantage of that. They wanted to own their own land, their piece of America, so to speak. Opportunities for former enslaved Americans. They didn't have anything but sharecropping, a lot of them, or just domestic jobs, no more than slaves. They wanted to escape the poverty that the Civil War had really created for them. This gave them an opportunity to own their own land. Okay. The Transcontinental Railroad was being built. We already had a couple of railroad systems in the eastern United States, and we had one that started in Sacramento and went to the Great Lakes. They needed to add one more to connect from the east to the west. And you can see on the map, it met in Promontory Point. We will be watching a little video about the Transcontinental Railroad being built in 1869. Adventure. A lot of people went for the adventure. For many people, the West seemed to hold the promise of unlimited possibilities. It gave a chance to live an independent life far from the crowded cities and factories of the East. There is a website that you can click if you like, and at any other time, to view all the different possibilities, the adventures that people undertook when they traveled to the Great Plains and the Far West. Thank you, boys and girls. That's it for tonight. I hope that you took some good notes and write down some questions that you may have.